The massive alien warship loomed over Earth, casting an ominous shadow across continents. Commander Zix of the Krlic Empire surveyed the blue planet from the bridge, mandibles clicking with anticipation. After centuries of interstellar conquest, the Krlics had finally reached this backwater world on the outer rim of the galaxy. Pitiful, Zix muttered, compound eyes scanning readouts of the primitive defenses below. These humans won't last a cycle against our superior technology. The Krlic fleet had crushed countless civilizations across the stars. Their plasma cannons could vaporize entire cities. Their energy shields were impenetrable. Their warriors were genetically engineered killing machines. By all accounts, this should be a quick and decisive victory. "Commander," the tactical officer called out, "we're detecting unusual energy readings from the planet's surface." Zix chittered in annoyance. "Explain." "It appears the humans are activating some kind of planetary defense system. But our scans can't identify the technology. It's like nothing we've ever encountered." A flash of unease rippled through Zix's exoskeleton. "New weapons? Impossible. These primitive apes couldn't possibly have developed anything that could threaten the mighty Krlic armada." "Prepare for invasion," Zix ordered. "Launch the first wave of dropships. We'll crush their pathetic defenses and show them the futility of resistance." As the invasion force descended through Earth's atmosphere, alarms suddenly blared across the Krlic command ship. Multiple incoming projectiles detected. The tactical officer shouted, But that's not possible." Zix watched in disbelief as swarms of crude metal cylinders rocketed up from the planet's surface. They looked absurdly primitive, nothing more than hollow tubes with explosive payloads. "Are those chemical-propelled rockets?" Zix sputtered incredulously. "That's their great defense system." But as the rockets struck the Krlic ships, Zix's laughter turned to shock. The crude projectiles somehow bypassed their advanced shields, detonating against their hulls with surprising force. Dropships exploded in midair. The command ship shuddered as explosions rippled across its surface. "Impossible," Zix screeched. "How can such primitive weapons penetrate our defenses? We are the Krlic. We are invincible." On the planet below, the human forces cheered as they watched the aliens' initial assault crumble. In a hardened bunker, General Sarah Chen allowed herself a grim smile as she observed the carnage on tactical displays. "Who would have thought our primitive rocket artillery would be so effective?" she mused. "Looks like these buggers have never encountered good old-fashioned kinetic weapons before." Her aide, Captain Rodriguez, nodded in agreement. Their energy shields seemed calibrated to stop plasma weapons and lasers, but plain old rockets and bullets, those slip right through. "Keep up the barrage," Chen ordered. "Let's show these alien bastards they picked the wrong planet to invade." As the human counterattack intensified, the Krlic invasion force found itself in utter chaos. Their energy weapons were nearly useless against hardened bunkers and dispersed infantry. Meanwhile, crude human firearms and explosives tore through their advanced armor with terrifying ease. Zix stared at the battle displays in growing horror. How could this be happening? The Krlics had conquered 1,000 worlds. Their technology was centuries beyond these pitiful humans. This was supposed to be an easy victory, not this. "Commander," the comms officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the surface." A grainy hologram flickered to life, revealing the stern face of General Chen. "Attention, alien forces. This is your one and only warning. Withdraw immediately or face complete destruction." Zix's mandibles gnashed in fury. "You dare threaten the Krlic Empire? We will reduce your cities to ash. We will." Chen cut him off with a bemused smirk. "Save the threats, bug boy. In case you hadn't noticed, we're kicking your shiny metal asses 6 ways from Sunday. Last chance to retreat before things get really messy." As if to emphasize her point, another barrage of rockets screamed up from the surface, destroying a Krlic cruiser in a brilliant fireball. Zix's compound eyes darted frantically between displays showing their mounting bosses. The unthinkable was happening. The mighty Krlic armada was being defeated by a bunch of primitive apes wielding the most ridiculous weapons he'd ever seen. All ships, emergency retreat. Zix finally screeched. Fall back to rally point Gamma. We must regroup and reassess. As the battered Krlic fleet limped away from Earth, Zix's mind reeled. How had it all gone so wrong? Their intelligence on this world had been fatally flawed. These humans were far more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. For the first time in his life, Commander Zix felt a new emotion creeping through his exoskeleton. Fear. The Krlic Empire had finally met its match, armed with the most absurd weapons in the galaxy. And this was only the beginning. Counterattack. General Chen strode through the bustling war room, her face illuminated by the glow of tactical displays. The initial alien assault had been repelled, but she knew the Krlics would return with a vengeance. Humanity needed to press its advantage. Status report. Chen barked, eyeing the holographic star map. Captain Rodriguez stepped forward. The alien fleet has withdrawn to the far side of the moon, ma'am. They appear to be regrouping and repairing their ships. Chen nodded grimly. And our forces? Ground-based defenses are at 85% capacity. We've begun mass-producing more conventional weapons and ammunition. The old mothballed factories are being brought back online. A wry smile crossed Chen's face. Who would have thought our obsolete weapons would be our salvation? Any word from R&D? As if on cue, Dr. Amelia Wright burst into the room, her lab coat disheveled and eyes wild with excitement. General, you're not going to believe this. Chen raised an eyebrow. What is it, Doctor? Wright held up a battered alien helmet. We've cracked their comm systems. These advanced aliens? Their quantum encryption is child's play compared to some of the stuff we cooked up during the cyber wars. A murmur of excitement rippled through the war room. Chen's eyes narrowed. Can we listen in on their communications? Better, Wright grinned. We can falsify transmissions, feed them bad intel, maybe even control some of their systems remotely. For the first time since the invasion began, Chen felt a glimmer of hope. Excellent work, Doctor. Let's give these bugs a taste of good old-fashioned human deception. Meanwhile, aboard the Krlic command ship, Commander Zix paced furiously. His carapace was still singed from their humiliating retreat. How? He chittered. How could those primitive apes defeat our glorious armada? The science officer cleared his throat nervously. Commander, we've analyzed the human weapons. It seems their projectiles are too simple for our shields to detect. The kinetic energy alone. Silence. Zix screeched. I won't accept excuses. Recalibrate our shields. Modify our armor. We are the Krlic. We do not lose to lesser species. As the Krlic fleet prepared for a second assault, they received an urgent transmission. The hologram of a panicked human appeared. Please, the figure begged. We surrender. Our leaders were wrong to resist. We'll accept your rule if you spare our cities. Zix's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. At last, these humans show proper respect. Prepare for planetary occupation. We shall. Suddenly, alarms blared across the ship. Multiple missiles detected. The tactical officer shouted. They're coming from the moon. Zix's compound eyes widened in shock as a barrage of rockets erupted from the lunar surface, streaking towards his unsuspecting fleet. Impossible, he screeched. The moon is lifeless. This must be a trick. But the destruction was all too real. Krlic ships, their shields still optimized for energy weapons, were torn apart by the crude but effective projectiles. On Earth, Chen watched the carnage with grim satisfaction. Nice work on that false transmission, right? And Rodriguez, remind me to buy NASA a beer. Who knew those old Apollo landing sites would make perfect missile launchers? As the Krlic fleet scrambled to respond, they found themselves assaulted from all sides. Swarms of outdated fighter jets, hastily retrofitted with rocket pods, harassed their flanks. Missiles launched from submarines struck from below. And through it all, their communications were in chaos. Contradictory orders, false retreat signals, and fabricated distress calls sowed confusion throughout the Krlic ranks. Zix's antennae twitched frantically as he tried to make sense of the battle. "Status report," he demanded. The comms officer's voice was filled with panic. "Commander, we're receiving surrender signals from half the fleet, but I can't verify if they're real. Our targeting systems are going haywire." The weapons officer added, "I think the humans have hijacked our network." Zix felt his exoskeleton crawling with dread. These humans weren't just primitive savages with crude weapons. They were devious, unpredictable, and far more dangerous than he could have imagined. As the battle raged on, humanity's ridiculous weapons continued to prove devastatingly effective. Railguns, perfected in secret military labs, punched through Krlic armor like tissue paper. EMP devices, crudely cobbled together from microwave ovens and old radio parts, wreaked havoc on alien electronics. But it was the sheer ingenuity and adaptability of the human forces that truly turned the tide. Construction equipment was converted into mobile artillery. Civilian drones became kamikaze bombers. Even long obsolete weapons were pulled from museums and pressed into service. In the war room, Chen allowed herself a moment of pride as she watched the alien fleet crumble. "We may not have the fanciest toys," she mused, "but never underestimate human creativity in a fight." Rodriguez nodded in agreement. Sun Tzu said it best, "Ma'am, the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Though I think we're doing a fair bit of fighting too." "That we are, Captain," Chen chuckled. "That we are." As the battered remnants of the Krlic armada fled Earth's orbit, Zix stared at the blue planet with a mixture of fear and awe. "Note to self," he chittered weakly, "never invade a species whose obsolete weapons can kick your shiny metal thorax halfway across the galaxy." The first round had gone to humanity. But the war was far from over. Galactic ripples. As news of the Krlic Empire's humiliating defeat spread across the galaxy, the cosmic balance of power began to shift. Species long oppressed by Krlic rule saw a glimmer of hope. And humanity, once dismissed as a backwater civilization, suddenly found itself thrust onto the galactic stage. In Earth's orbit, a hastily constructed space station served as humanity's new forward operating base. General Chen stood at the viewport, gazing at the stars with a mixture of wonder and apprehension. "To think," she mused, "a month ago our biggest concern was climate change. Now we're preparing for interstellar war." Dr. Wright joined her, clutching a tablet filled with alien data. "It's not all bad news, General. The tech we've salvaged from Krlic wreckage is advancing our science by decades, maybe centuries." Chen nodded. "Let's just hope it's enough. Our victory bought us time, but the Krlics will be back. And next time, they won't underestimate us." As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the station. Captain Rodriguez's voice crackled over the intercom. "General to the command center. We're picking up a transmission, but not from the Krlics." Chen and Wright rushed to the bustling nerve center of humanity's defense. The main screen flickered to life, revealing an alien unlike any they'd seen before. Its crystalline body shimmered with internal light, and its voice seemed to resonate directly in their minds. "Greetings, humans," the being intoned. "I am Ambassador Zalthrix of the Luminary Collective. We have observed your victory over the Krlic aggressors with great interest." A murmur rippled through the command center. Chen stepped forward, her voice steady. "On behalf of Earth, I welcome you, Ambassador. I take it the Luminary aren't friends of the Krlics." Zalthrix's crystalline form pulsed with what might have been amusement. "The Krlic Empire has been a blight upon the galaxy for millennia. Many believe them undefeatable. And yet you primitive humans armed with, what was it? Ah yes, ridiculously primitive weapons, managed to do what countless advanced civilizations could not." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "We're full of surprises." Indeed, Zalthrix agreed. Which is why the Luminary Collective wishes to propose an alliance. We can offer you advanced technology, star charts, and intelligence on Krlic movements. In exchange, we ask for your assistance in liberating worlds under Krlic control. The command center erupted in excited chatter. Chen held up a hand for silence. A generous offer, Ambassador. But why us? Surely your civilization is far more advanced than ours. Zalthrix's form shimmered. Advanced, yes, but also predictable. The Krlics understand our weapons, our tactics. You humans, with your primitive technology and unpredictable strategies, represent something they've never faced before. You are the key to their downfall. As the implications sank in, Dr. Wright's eyes lit up with scientific curiosity. Ambassador, you mentioned sharing technology. Does that include faster-than-light travel? Indeed, Zalthrix confirmed. We can retrofit your ships with warp drives within days. Chen's mind raced with the possibilities. Humanity, taking the fight to the stars. It seemed like something out of a sci-fi novel. But the threat was real, and the opportunity unprecedented. We'll need to consult with Earth's governments, Chen said carefully. But speaking for the defense forces, I believe we'd be honored to join your coalition. As Zalthrix's transmission ended, the command center burst into a flurry of activity. Plans were drawn up, resources allocated, and messages sent to world leaders. Humanity was going to war. But this time, they'd be the invaders. Weeks passed in a blur of preparation. Salvaged Krlic ships were retrofitted with a mix of alien and human technology. Volunteers from Earth's militaries were hastily trained in space combat. And all the while, human engineers and scientists worked tirelessly to adapt their ridiculous weapons for interstellar warfare. Finally, the day of departure arrived. Chen stood on the bridge of the ESS Humanity's Hope, Earth's first warp-capable battleship. It was a hodgepodge of human ingenuity and alien tech, FTL drives coupled with conventional engines, energy shields protecting a hull of good old-fashioned titanium. All ships report ready, General, Rodriguez announced from his station. Chen took a deep breath, feeling the weight of history on her shoulders. Send the signal. It's time to take the fight to the Krlics. With a flash of light, the human fleet vanished into the depths of space. Their first target, a Krlic-controlled mining world on the edge of their empire. As the human ships dropped out of warp, they were met with a scene of industrial exploitation on a massive scale. Massive facilities scoured the planet's surface, extracting resources to fuel the Krlic war machine. Enemy ships detected. Rodriguez called out. They're scrambling to respond. Chen allowed herself a predatory grin. Let's show them what these primitive apes can do. All ships, commence attack pattern Alpha. What followed was a battle unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human fighters, little more than rebuilt F-22s with warp engines, strapped on, danced between lumbering Krlic cruisers. Railguns fired projectiles at relativistic speeds, punching clean through alien shields, and the Krlics, still reeling from their defeat at Earth, found themselves completely unprepared for humanity's unorthodox tactics. As the last Krlic ship fell, Chen couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, and they'd done it with style. But as the adrenaline of victory faded, a sobering thought crossed her mind. They'd won the battle, yes, but the war had only just begun. And somewhere out there, the Krlic Empire was preparing its response. Escalation. The liberation of the Krlic mining world sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Humans, once dismissed as primitive savages, were now hailed as heroes by countless oppressed species. But with each victory, the conflict only intensified. Aboard the ESS Humanity's Hope, General Chen pored over star charts with her senior staff. Captain Rodriguez pointed to a cluster of systems near the heart of Krlic territory. Intelligence from the luminary suggests the Krlics are massing their forces here, he explained. They're adapting their shields and armor to counter our weapons. Dr. Wright nodded grimly. Our advantage of surprise is wearing thin. We need to stay unpredictable. Chen's eyes narrowed as she studied the map. Then it's time to change the game. What's the status on Project Slingshot? Wright's face lit up with excitement. It's ready for field testing, General. Though I still think it's absolutely insane. Perfect, Chen smirked. Insanity is our specialty. Meanwhile, deep in Krlic space, Commander Zix stood before the Krlic High Council. His once pristine exoskeleton was scared and discolored, a testament to the humiliation he'd suffered at Earth. These humans, Zix chittered, are unlike any foe we faced. They wield primitive weapons with devastating effect. They turn our own technology against us, and now they dare to invade our territory. The Krlic Empress, a massive creature whose carapace gleamed with bioluminescent patterns, leaned forward on her throne. You were defeated by these primitives, Commander. Why should we heed your counsel? Zix's antennae twitched nervously. Because I've seen their savagery firsthand, Your Majesty. If we don't stop them now, they'll overrun the galaxy. We must crush them, no matter the cost. The Empress considered for a moment, then nodded. Very well. You will lead our counteroffensive, Commander. Fail again, and your exoskeleton will adorn my chamber walls. As Zix assembled the largest Krlic fleet in centuries, the human forces prepared for their boldest operation yet. The ESS Humanity's Hope led a small task force to a seemingly unremarkable star system on the edge of Krlic space. All ships, assume formation, Chen ordered. Prepare to activate Project Slingshot on my mark. Rodriguez looked up from his console, a mix of excitement and trepidation on his face. Are we sure about this, General? It seems ridiculous. Chen finished with a grin. That's the point, Captain. Execute. At Chen's command, the human ships arranged themselves in a precise geometric pattern. Massive gravitational emitters, cobbled together from Krlic and luminary tech, hummed to life. Slingshot activated. Wright called out. Gravitational corridor stable, I think. Chen took a deep breath. All ships, full power to engines. Let's make history. In a blinding flash of light, the human fleet vanished, catapulted across vast stretches of space by their makeshift gravity drive. When they reappeared, they found themselves in the heart of Krlic territory, mere light minutes from the Empire's throne world. Alarms blared across the Krlic homeworld as the impossible happened. A human fleet, appearing from nowhere, on their very doorstep. Impossible. Zix screeched as reports flooded in. How did they penetrate our defenses? But the humans gave the Krlics no time to ponder. Missiles streaked towards orbital platforms. Fighters swarmed capital ships. And at the center of it all, the Humanity's Hope unleashed its secret weapon, a massive electromagnetic pulse designed to fry Krlic electronics across half the planet. As Krlic ships fell dark and defense systems failed, Chen's voice boomed across all frequencies. Attention, Krlic Empire. Your reign of terror ends today. Surrender, or face annihilation by the most primitive weapons in the galaxy. On the planet below, the Krlic Empress watched in horror as her impregnable world burned. How? She chittered to her advisors. How are they doing this? But the truth was, even the humans themselves barely understood the forces they were wielding. They had taken alien tech, combined it with their own primitive ingenuity, and created something entirely new, something unpredictable, unstoppable. As the battle raged, Chen turned to Wright. Status on the gravity drive. The scientist shook her head. Burnt out, General. We won't be making another jump like that anytime soon. Chen nodded grimly. Then we'd better make this count. All ships, press the attack. We end this today. For hours, the sky above the Krlic homeworld blazed with the fury of two civilizations locked in mortal combat. Human warships, their hulls scared and battered, fought with desperate courage. Krlic defenders, recovering from the initial shock, rallied to protect their homeworld. But in the end, it was a simple thing that decided the fate of empires. A lone human fighter, its weapons exhausted, its pilot wounded and desperate, made a suicide run at the Krlic palace. The resulting explosion shattered the Empress's chamber, sending the Krlic leadership into chaos. As the smoke cleared, Chen's voice once again echoed across the battlefield. "Your Empress is dead. Your fleets are in ruins. Surrender now, and we can end this bloodshed." For a long moment, silence reigned. Then, one by one, Krlic ships began powering down their weapons. The unthinkable had happened. Humanity had brought the mighty Krlic Empire to its knees. As the adrenaline of victory faded, Chen stared out at the battered Krlic homeworld. They had won, yes, but at what cost? And what would humanity do with its newfound power? As if reading her thoughts, Rodriguez spoke softly. "What now, General?" Chen's gaze remained fixed on the planet below. "Now, Captain. Now we face our greatest challenge yet." "What's that?" A wry smile crossed Chen's face. "Learning to live in the galaxy we just saved." The Krlic War was over, but humanity's journey to the stars, that was just beginning. A new galactic order. The fall of the Krlic Empire sent shockwaves across the galaxy. Centuries of oppression had ended in a matter of months, all thanks to a species most had never even heard of before. As news spread, the reaction was a mixture of jubilation, disbelief, and growing apprehension. On Earth, celebrations erupted across the globe. Humanity had faced its greatest threat and emerged victorious. But in the halls of power, leaders grappled with a new reality. Earth was now a major player on the galactic stage, whether it was ready or not. Aboard the ESS Humanity's Hope, now orbiting the former Krlic throne world, General Chen sat in tense negotiations with representatives from dozens of alien species. The luminary ambassador, Zalthrix, acted as a mediator. The power vacuum left by the Krlics must be addressed. Zalthrix's crystalline form pulsed as it spoke. "Many worlds are in chaos. Centuries of oppression have left deep scars." A tentacled being from a water world burbled its agreement. "The humans defeated the Krlics, yes. But who will maintain order now? Who will prevent new tyrants from rising?" All eyes turned to Chen. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of expectation. "Earth has no desire to become a new empire. We fought for freedom, not dominion." "Noble words," a avian creature trilled skeptically. "But your species now wields the most powerful military force in the known galaxy. How can we trust you won't become the very thing you destroyed?" Chen's mind raced. How could she convey humanity's intentions? How could she assure these aliens that Earth wouldn't become the next Krlic Empire? Before she could respond, the doors to the conference room burst open. Dr. Wright rushed in, her eyes wide with excitement. "General, you need to see this." Confusion rippled through the gathered aliens as Wright activated a holographic display. It showed a fleet of ships unlike anything they'd seen before, a hodgepodge of human, Krlic, and various alien technologies cobbled together into functional, if ugly, vessels. "What am I looking at, Doctor?" Chen asked, brow furrowed. Wright's grin was infectious. "This, General, is the solution to our problems, and the next chapter of human ingenuity." Over the next hour, Wright laid out a plan so audacious, so quintessentially human, that it left the alien delegates stunned. Humanity would use its newfound knowledge and resources not to build an empire, but to kickstart a galactic renaissance. "We're calling it the Frontier Initiative," Wright explained. "We take volunteers from Earth, mix them with refugees and scientists from across the galaxy, give them these ships, mobile research stations, really, and set them loose to explore, innovate, and help rebuild." Chen caught on quickly. Not a conquering army, but a force for progress and recovery. Zalthrix's crystalline form shimmered with what might have been approval. "An intriguing proposal, but how will you maintain order? Prevent abuses?" Chen stepped forward, her voice firm. "We don't intend to rule the galaxy. Instead, we propose a galactic council. Every sentient species gets a voice. Earth will have a seat, yes, but no more power than any other member. The alien delegates murmured among themselves. It was clear they were intrigued, but skeptical. "And what of your weapons?" the avian creature asked. "The very ones that defeated the Krlics." Chen smiled. "We'll share them, along with everything else we've learned. No more technological monopolies. No more secret weapons. We'll face the future together, as equals." As the implications sank in, excitement began to build in the conference room. Humanity wasn't seeking to replace the Krlics as conquerors. They were offering a new way forward, a galactic community built on cooperation and shared progress. Over the next few weeks, the details of the new galactic order were hammered out. The Galactic Council would be established on a neutral world. The Frontier Initiative would launch, sending mixed species crews to the farthest reaches of known space. And Earth, at the center of it all, would become a hub of technological and cultural exchange. But not everyone was thrilled with this new arrangement. In the depths of space, remnants of the Krlic military seethed with resentment. Commander Zix, having escaped the fall of the homeworld, rallied the survivors. "The humans think they've won," he chittered to his followers. "They believe their ridiculous weapons have guaranteed their victory. But we are Krlic. We will adapt, we will evolve, and we will have our revenge." As Zix's followers cheered, the exiled commander allowed himself a cruel smile. The humans had no idea what was coming. Their victory had only sown the seeds of a greater conflict. Back on Earth, General Chen stood before the United Nations, delivering a report on the new galactic situation. The chamber was packed, with billions more watching the broadcast worldwide. "We stand at a crossroads," Chen declared. "For the first time in human history, we are not alone. We have seen the stars, and they have seen us. The choices we make now will shape not just our future, but the future of countless worlds." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the assembly. "We defeated the Krlics not because we were stronger or more advanced, but because we were innovative, unpredictable. We turned our perceived weakness into our greatest strength. Now we must do so again. We must innovate not in weapons, but in diplomacy, in cooperation, in building a galactic community that uplifts all species, not just our own." As Chen's words rang out, humans across the globe felt a mixture of pride, excitement, and trepidation. They had saved the galaxy with the most ridiculous weapons anyone had ever seen. Now they would have to save it again, with the most powerful weapons of all: compassion, creativity, and an unwavering belief in a better future. The Krlic War was over, but humanity's greatest challenge was just beginning. Echoes of war. 5 years had passed since the fall of the Krlic Empire. The galaxy was transforming at a dizzying pace. The Galactic Council, headquartered on the neutral world of Nova Concordia, had become a bustling hub of interspecies cooperation. Earth had evolved into a melting pot of alien cultures and technologies, and the Frontier Initiative had expanded the bounds of known space, making discoveries that challenged the very foundations of science. But peace, as humanity was learning, could be just as challenging as war. On the fringes of explored space, the ESS Curiosity, one of the first Frontier Initiative vessels, dropped out of warp. Captain Maya Patel, a veteran of the Krlic War, stood on the bridge, surveying a desolate star system. Scanners detecting unusual energy readings from the third planet. Captain, her alien science officer, a squid-like Xorlian named Zon, reported. Patel nodded. "Any signs of life?" "Negative," Zon burbled. "But these readings, they're unlike anything in our database." A glimmer of excitement shone in Patel's eyes. This was why she joined the Frontier Initiative. The thrill of discovery, the chance to push the boundaries of knowledge. "Prep a landing party," she ordered. "Full containment protocols. Let's see what we're dealing with." As the Curiosity shuttle descended through the alien atmosphere, none of its crew could have imagined the chain of events they were about to set in motion. Meanwhile, on Nova Concordia, The Galactic Council was in session. The grand chamber, designed to accommodate beings of all shapes and sizes, hummed with the voices of 100 different species. At the center of it all stood General Chen, now Earth's senior representative to the Council. The Frontier Initiative's latest reports are troubling. Chen addressed the assembly. We're detecting increased activity in uncharted regions. Entire star systems going dark. Something is stirring out there. Zalthrix, the luminary ambassador, pulsed with concern. Could it be remnants of the Krlic military? We know Commander Zix escaped with a sizable force. Chen shook her head. We don't think so. This feels different, bigger. As the council debated, a commotion erupted at the chamber entrance. A human messenger, breathless and wide-eyed, rushed to Chen's side. The general's face paled as she read the urgent communique. Council members, Chen's voice cut through the chatter. I've just received word. The ES Curiosity has gone silent. Their last transmission. It doesn't make sense. She activated a holographic display, playing the final garbled message from Captain Patul. Not what we thought. Awaken something. Oh God. They're coming. Warn the council. The precursor's heir. The message cut off in a burst of static. A hush fell over the council chamber. Precursors. Zalthrix's crystalline form dimmed. Surely not. They're just a myth. But the fear in the luminary's voice was palpable. Other council members shifted uneasily, whispering among themselves. Chen realized she was missing a crucial piece of galactic lore. Someone want to fill me in? She demanded. What are these precursors? An elderly draconian, scales dulled with age, stepped forward. They were, the first spacefaring race. The beings who seeded the galaxy with life eons ago. But they vanished millions of years before any of our civilizations arose. Some believed they ascended to a higher plane of existence. Others thought they died out. But all agreed, if the precursors ever returned, it would mean the end of life as we know it. Chen's mind raced, a threat older than civilization itself. How could humanity's ridiculous weapons possibly stand against such a force? As if in answer to her unspoken question, alarms blared across Nova Concordia. The planet's defense grid had detected multiple unknown vessels entering the system. On view screens throughout the council chamber, a terrifying sight unfolded. Massive ships, unlike anything they'd ever seen, emerged from warp. They were organic and mechanical at once, pulsing with otherworldly energy. And they were heading straight for Nova Concordia. Panic erupted in the council chamber. Some representatives fled, others froze in terror, but Chen's voice cut through the chaos. This is not the end, she roared, commanding the attention of the room. We've faced impossible odds before. We've defeated enemies who thought us primitive and weak, and we'll do it again. She turned to her staff. Contact Earth. Activate the Lazarus Protocol. As the council watched in confusion, Chen allowed herself a grim smile. Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all designations, it's time to show these precursors why you should never underestimate the species with the most ridiculous weapons in the galaxy. Across the galaxy, humanity's response kicked into high gear. On Earth, long-dormant factories rumbled to life, beginning production of weapons that made no sense to alien observers. In hidden shipyards, vessels were hastily refitted with technology that seemed more at home in a mad scientist's lab than a warship. And deep in a secret facility on Mars, Dr. Wright stood before her magnum opus, a device that bent the very fabric of reality. A weapon so absurd, so fundamentally insane, that it just might save the galaxy. As the precursor ships loomed ever closer, Chen couldn't help but feel a twinge of irony. Humanity had worked so hard for peace, only to find itself once again at the center of a war that would determine the fate of all life. But this time, they weren't alone. This time, they had the combined knowledge and resources of 100 alien races at their disposal. This time, the most ridiculous weapons in the galaxy would be wielded not just by humans, but by a united galactic front. The final battle for existence was about to begin. And if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was defying the impossible. The last ridiculousness. As the precursor fleet descended upon Nova Concordia, the hastily assembled Galactic Defense Force stood ready. Ships from 100 different species formed a protective cordon around the planet, a testament to the unity forged in the wake of the Krlic War. Aboard the flagship, rechristened as the GSS Unity, General Chen surveyed the motley armada. Sleek luminary cruisers bristled with energy weapons. Massive draconian dreadnoughts lumbered into position. And at the heart of it all, a contingent of Earth ships, retrofitted with technology that defied conventional understanding. Status report, Chen barked, her eyes never leaving the approaching precursor vessels. Dr. Wright, now head of the Galactic Science Division, looked up from her console. The Lazarus Protocol is ready, General, though I still think this plan is absolutely insane. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Insanity got us this far, Doctor. Let's hope it takes us all the way. As the precursor ships entered weapons range, the battle erupted in a dazzling display of advanced weaponry. Energy beams lanced across space. Missiles with miniature AI brains sought out weak points. Shields flared and buckled under the onslaught. But the precursors were unlike any foe they'd faced. Their ships seemed to adapt in real time, shrugging off attacks that had proven devastating just moments before. This isn't working, Rodriguez, now an admiral, growled from his station. We need to change tactics. Chen nodded grimly. Agreed. All ships, initiate Operation Slingshot. Across the battlefield, Galactic Defense Force vessels began to move in seemingly random patterns, but to the trained eye, it was a carefully choreographed dance. Gravitational emitters, based on the technology that had won the Krlic War, hummed to life. Suddenly, space itself seemed to warp and twist. Precursor ships found themselves flung across vast distances, their formations shattered. Some collided with each other, while others were catapulted directly into the waiting guns of the defense fleet. For a moment, hope surged through the Allied forces, but the precursors quickly regrouped, their ships morphing into new configurations that nullified the gravitational assault. They're adapting too quickly, Wright warned. We need to end this now. Chen's jaw set with determination. Initiate the Lazarus Protocol. All ships, fall back to secondary positions. As the defense fleet retreated, a massive device emerged from the far side of Nova Concordia's moon. It was an amalgamation of human ingenuity and alien technology, a reality warping weapon that defied the laws of physics. Fire, Chen ordered. A beam of pure impossibility lanced out from the Lazarus device, striking the lead precursor ship. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, reality itself began to unravel around the vessel. It didn't explode. It didn't disintegrate. It simply ceased to be, taking a large chunk of the precursor fleet with it. A cheer went up across the Galactic Defense Force. But their celebration was short-lived. The remaining precursor ships, seemingly unfazed by the loss of their comrades, pressed their attack with renewed vigor. They're adapting to the Lazarus device, Wright reported, her voice tinged with disbelief. How is that even possible? Chen watched as the precursor ships effortlessly evaded the reality warping beams, their hulls shimmering with otherworldly energy. It seemed that even humanity's most ridiculous weapon had met its match. But as she stared at the swirling chaos of battle, a wild idea began to form in Chen's mind. An idea so absurd, so fundamentally ridiculous, that it just might work. Dr. Wright, she said slowly, what would happen if we reversed the polarity on the Lazarus device? Wright's eyes widened. Theoretically, it would create a field of hyper-reality instead of unreality. But the energy requirements would be. Can we do it? Wright hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Yes, but I have no idea what the consequences might be. Chen's lips curved into a determined smile. Let's find out. All ships, prepare for final maneuvers. Operation Looking Glass is a go. As the Galactic Defense Force regrouped for one last desperate stand, the Lazarus device began to pulse with new energy. Reality itself seemed to shudder in anticipation. "Now," Chen ordered. A wave of hyper-reality exploded outward from the device, engulfing both the Allied fleet and the precursor armada. For a moment, every ship in the battlefield existed in a state of quantum superposition, simultaneously intact and destroyed, victorious and defeated. Then, as the wave passed, the impossible happened. The precursor ships, designed to adapt to any weapon, found themselves adapting to victory and defeat simultaneously. Their hulls twisted and warped, caught between conflicting states of existence. And in that moment of cosmic confusion, the Galactic Defense Force struck. Every ridiculous weapon, every improbable tactic, every insane maneuver they had ever conceived was unleashed in a symphony of beautiful chaos. Railguns fired projectiles that existed in multiple timelines at once. Fighters performed maneuvers that violated the laws of physics, and at the heart of it all, humanity's penchant for the absurd became the galaxy's salvation. One by one, the precursor ships winked out of existence, unable to reconcile the paradox of their own adaptation. And as the last enemy vessel faded away, a stunned silence fell over the battlefield. They had won. Against all odds, against an enemy older than civilization itself, they had emerged victorious. As the realization of their triumph spread across the fleet, Chen allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. Humanity had come so far, from a primitive species on the edge of the galaxy to the saviors of all life. And they had done it not with overwhelming force or superior technology, but with creativity, adaptability, and a willingness to embrace the ridiculous. "General," Wright's voice broke through her reverie. "What now?" Chen looked out at the sea of stars, at the assembled ships of 100 alien races, at the infinite possibilities that lay before them. "Now," she said, a smile spreading across her face. "Now we explore. We learn. We grow. And we never, ever stop being ridiculous." As the Galactic Defense Force began the long process of standing down, Chen couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement for the future. They had faced the ultimate threat and emerged stronger for it, and who knew what other adventures awaited them in the vast, ridiculous expanse of the cosmos. After all, in a universe full of wonders, sometimes the most ridiculous idea is the one that changes everything.